galvanometer here. This is the galvanometer here. Say, galvanometer is a very sensitive device. Let this is the resistance of galvanometer, and current here is Ig, is galvanometer current, which is very low, of the order of microampere. And here Vg is the voltage across the coil, which is Ig into resistance of the coil. So Vg is equal to Ig into G. As we know, it is of the order of milliampere, microampere. If we give more current, say like 1 ampere, 10 ampere, 100 ampere, what will happen? It will burn out. It will burn out. Or if we give the voltage here, hardly millivolts. If we give 100 volt, 200 volt, 500 volt, it will definitely burn out. So can we measure with the same galvanometer a very large current of the order of 1 ampere, 10 ampere, 100 ampere, or we can measure 200, 500 volt. But there is no ammeter and voltmeter. It is actually ammeter is the converted galvanometer. Convert, so it means this is very important now to how to convert this galvanometer into an ammeter and voltmeter. So first topic here is how to convert galvanometer to ammeter. There is a conversion here from galvanometer to ammeter. Let us discuss, take the case of say with the numerical problem as well as derivation also. So with the help of numerical we understand how we convert. Let us discuss, this is the galvanometer here. Say for simplicity, galvanometer current we are taking 1 milliampere, it means 0.001 ampere, and galvanometer resistance for simplicity we have taken 10 ohm. Then what is the Vg? Vg is the voltage across this galvanometer, that is IR. So if you multiply this, means this is the voltage. So 1 milliampere current or 0.01 voltage across the coil, it will give you the full scale deflection. If we give the more current, it will burn out. Suppose we are interested to measure 1 ampere. If 1 ampere current is flowing through the galvanometer coil in the circuit, then what will happen? It is 1000 times current we are giving. The 1000 times current is flowing through the galvanometer coil, it will burn out. Suppose we are measuring the 10 ampere current, that we cannot measure. Then we are connecting a thick wire here in parallel. This is a thick wire in parallel. Then what will happen? Most of the current is passing through this shunt. It is called thick wire. Thick wire is called shunt. Say S is the shunt resistance. S is the shunt resistance. So here we are interested to measure 10 ampere current, but at the same time to the galvanometer coil maximum 1 milliampere current can pass through it. Otherwise, what will happen? It will burn out. So we have here thick wire, low resistance wire. Thick wire means very low resistance. Not low resistance, very low resistance. So all the extra current must pass to the shunt and only 1 milliampere current is passing through the coil. It means here, suppose I is the main current which are interested to measure, and I is the current flowing through the galvanometer. It means here I minus Ig is the current passing through the shunt. As these two are parallel, so what will happen? Voltage will be the same. Now 10 minus 0.001, it means it is 9.999 ampere current is passing through the shunt. And as per the parallel circuit, these two voltages are same. So voltage across the galvanometer coil and voltage across the thick wire shunt, it should be equal. Now you can equate it. So I minus Ig is the current and S is the resistance, IR is the voltage, and Ig into G, this is the voltage across the galvanometer coil. So we can find out the unknown resistance, shunt resistance, as it will be Ig upon I minus Ig. And with this formula we can find out the shunt resistance. You can find out the shunt resistance. Okay, you tell me any doubt? It is very simple, because this is the current. In any case, this current must not increase than the desired value, that is 1 milliampere. Suppose it is we are interested to measure 100 ampere current, that is not 100 ampere, but it up to 100, 0 to 100 ampere any current. This is the maximum value 100 ampere. So here maximum current can pass to the galvanometer coil is only 0.001, and rest of the current which 100 minus 1 milliampere is 99.999 ampere current passes through the shunt. It means here whatever current is there, we can measure with the same galvanometer by different values of shunt resistance. It means the same galvanometer can be converted into desired range of ammeter, different range of ammeter. Got it? So here voltage is same. We can equate because of parallel circuit. In parallel circuit, voltage remains the same. So we are equating the voltage, this current in shunt multiplied by shunt resistance, this current in galvanometer multiplied by the galvanometer resistance. So this is the formula here to find out the value of unknown resistance or shunt resistance for the measuring 0 to 10 ampere. This is the maximum current 10 ampere, and just to protect the galvanometer, this is the maximum current can pass through the galvanometer, and rest of the current is passing through the shunt. Any doubt up to this? So this is the formula. We can find out the shunt resistance. For this particular case, the numerical value, just put these values here. We can, what is Ig? Ig is 0.01 multiplied by 10 upon I minus Ig is 9.999. That is very, this 10 upon 9.99 is approximately 0.001 ohm resistance. This is very low resistance. If put any other value, say 50 ampere, then here it will be 49.999. It means different shunt resistance will give the different range of ammeters. One is what? It is a universal shunt. Universal shunt means there are many values. So the same galvanometer can be converted into different range of ammeter just by selecting the different values of shunt resistance. It is called universal shunt resistance. So is it clear now? We can convert galvanometer into desired range of ammeter, or in other words, ammeter is nothing but galvanometer, shunted galvanometer. What do you mean by the shunted galvanometer? Shunted galvanometer means the shunt thick wire, low resistance wire is connected in parallel with the galvanometer coil. It is called shunted galvanometer, means ammeter. Yes, please, any doubt? Hello? If any doubt is there, please ask. We can convert galvanometer into desired range of ammeter. Now, suppose voltmeter. Now we are going to convert galvanometer into desired range of voltmeter. The same galvanometer. So we are taking the same galvanometer here. Same galvanometer here, and we are connecting here very high resistance in series, thin wire, very thin wire. Thin wire means, as per this formula here, if area of cross section is less, resistance is high. If it is more, it will be less. So we are using this thin wire. It should be connected in series, and in parallel, thick wire is connected in parallel to convert galvanometer into ammeter, and very thin wire, very high resistance connected in series. It will convert the same galvanometer into desired range of voltmeter. How? Let us see. Suppose we are interested here 100 volt. Voltage 100 volt we are interested to measure with the same galvanometer, and here galvanometer, across this galvanometer only 0.01 volt can be given maximum. So the rest of the voltage must be dropped in the series high resistance. It means 100 minus 0.01 volt must be dropped here. So it is 99.99 volt must be dropped here in the series high resistance, and only 0.01 volt can be dropped across the galvanometer coil. This is the maximum voltage can be given to the galvanometer coil, otherwise it will burn out. So just to protect the galvanometer, at the same time we can measure the high voltage, this high resistance, series high resistance, but the thin wire must be connected in series, and in series you know the current remains the same. Current remains the same. It means here R we can find out. R is the voltage across this wire divided by the current, the same current, because in series current remains the same. So here 99.99 volt divided by 0.001. It means here if you remove the decimal, it comes here 9999 ohm. It is very high resistance connected in series of the galvanometer. Now this galvanometer converted into 100 volt. It means 0 to 100 volt, any volt it can measure. Suppose we are interested to measure the 200 volt. It means 199.99 volt must be dropped here. Suppose we are interested to measure up to 500 volt with the same galvanometer, 499.99 volt must be dropped in series high resistance. It means just by selecting the different range of resistance, high resistance, we can convert the same galvanometer into different range of voltmeters. So one galvanometer there can be converted into different range of ammeter and different range of voltmeter just by selecting the shunt resistance in case of ammeter and series high resistance in case of voltmeters. Any doubt? We'll solve many numericals here, different numericals, twisted numericals, but basic criteria here for the conversion of galvanometer into ammeter and voltmeter is the same, will be the same. So this is the concept here. I have given you the idea with taking the simple numerical, because this concept remains the same for all the numericals. Okay, any doubt? Yes, please, any doubt? On EMI, electromagnetic induction, while teaching you this topic, but for this we are going to solve some more numerical problems. I have selected some questions so that you can easily understand also, and there should not be any repetition. If repetition is there, it means this topic is, or this concept is necessary. Question number 10. Just go through this question number 10. Can you see this question number 10? Readable? This figure shows here a conducting rod PQ, which is what? Sliding conduct. PQ is the rod here, which is sliding over this U shape here circuit. Here RS is the resistance of 5 ohm. The width of this rod PQ is 25 centimeter. It is moving towards right with the speed of 5 meter per second, and flux density going inward, going into the page, that is 0.4 Tesla. Now what is the EMF when the rod moves to the right with velocity is 5 meter per second? What is the magnitude and direction of the current flowing through the circuit or flowing through the 5 ohm resistance? If the circuit is closed, definitely current is flowing also. So to find out the EMF and the current in the circuit. In second part, suppose the rod moves toward the left with the same speed, what will the new current and its direction? Got this? Suppose I draw the circuit here, this is the rod, U shape here, this is the resistance, and this is the rod here PQ, and field is inward field, cross field means inward, going into the paper, into the board, and this is the speed with moving say with 5 meter per second, and resistance here is 5 ohm, and length of this conductor here is PQ is 25 centimeter. So the formula of EMF we know, B L V. B is the magnetic field, L is the length of this conductor PQ, and V is the velocity. So with this we can easily find out, putting the values here B, L, V, we can easily find out the E, and what is the current here? It is simply E by R. So we know the value of R, 5 ohm given B is 0.4 Tesla. Putting the value 0.4 Tesla, length is 25 centimeter, convert into meter, and V is 5. So this way we can easily calculate E, and E by R simply this is same E divided by 5 ohm. So we can find out the current also. So it is a simple question, but find out the direction also, and direction of PQ. Direction of PQ. You can find out the direction by using the Fleming's right hand rule. Applying the right hand rule, we can find out the direction. If it is going towards right, and suppose to the left, direction will be just reverse. Direction will be just reverse. Here there is the question, solution here for the same question. What is the value of E? Can you see this? The solution also, can you see this? Can EMF is BLV. Putting the value at BLV, if we calculate, we are getting the value 0.5 volt, and divided by 5, we are getting the current 0.1, 0.5 divided by 5 means 0.1 ampere. So the numerical value of E and I is very simple, but find out the direction of current by using the Fleming's right hand rule. We can find out the direction of induced current, and that is from R to S. When it is moving towards left, then this force or motion will be towards left in that case, and direction current will be reverse S to R. Got it? Yes, please, any doubt? Here direction you can find out by using the Fleming's right hand rule. Thumb here, it will tell you the direction of force or motion. Forefinger, it will be the magnetic field, and middle finger, it will tell you the direction of induced current here. Okay? Got it? Can you find out the formula for EMF and current? It's very simple. Simply put the formula, nothing new here. Okay, now the question 14 here, this we have discussed already. Just repeating this, a wheel of 8 metallic spokes, each 50 cm long, is rotated with a speed of 120 revolutions per minute. If it is the rotation per minute, you can convert into per second, and you can find out the omega also. In this case, what is the formula of EMF? It is E equal to 1 by 2 B L square omega. In this question, L is given to you 50 centimeter. L is given here 50 centimeter, convert into meter 5.5 meter, and B is given here 0.4 Gauss, 0.4 Gauss, convert into Tesla, 0.4 into 10 power minus 4 Tesla, because in SI unit we are using, so we have to convert from Gauss to Tesla just by multiplication of 10 power minus 4, because 1 Gauss is 10 power minus 4 Tesla. And this is the frequency given 120 revolutions per minute. We can convert into per second divided by 60, and omega will be 2 pi mu. So here simply 2 multiplied by pi, and frequency also 2, so it is 4 pi radian per second. So you know omega also. We know V also, we know L also, we know omega also. We can put the values here. So we can easily calculate E just by putting all the values in the formula. But mind it, what is wrong here? B is given the horizontal component of Earth field. If it is rotated vertically, then which is linking? If it is rotated horizontally, which part of this magnetic field linking? Only this we are to. So Earth magnetic field at that place is 0.4 Gauss. Earth magnetic field is given. It means here we have to find out dV. Not here putting this value. It is vertical component and horizontal component. So putting this value, horizontal component, it will be B. This is the value of B here, and cos theta delta. Delta means that 50 degree. So this is the value we have to put in the formula, not the B. Got this point? Angular dip is given, so we can find out the value of vertical component, the horizontal component. Horizontal component is B cos delta, and vertical component B sin delta. You have to take care of this value. angle of drift is given, it means B can be converted to horizontal and vertical component. So see the solution here. Frequency is given, you can convert into omega, BH is B cos 60 degree. So this way EMF you can easily calculate just by putting in this value. And one more thing here, number of spokes, calculate the EMF induced. Okay, how will the value of EMF be affected if the number of spokes were increased? Here number of spokes doesn't matter here, but the region induced voltage developed in all the you can say this part. See, this is the cycle wheel and this is the axle and the ring. So spokes here, whatever voltage developed, these all voltage will be in parallel. In parallel voltage remains the same. So number of spokes is immaterial here. If you increase the number of spokes, even then we are getting the same value of EMF. We have discussed this already. Any doubt? Yes, please. Any doubt in this question number 14? Are you listening? Hello? Just go through the question number 17. A rectangular wire called. Just go through the question number 17. A rectangular coil of 200 tons. Size is given 15 into 40. Rectangular coil, is the rectangular coil here. Number of tons here in say 200 tons and 15 centimeter by 15 centimeter by say 40 centimeter, it will give the area into length into breadth. It means 0.4 into 0.15 meter square. In centimeter it is given, so you can convert into meter, and area is length breadth. So this is the area. It is rotated here with the speed of 50 rotations per second. So frequency is given 50 RPS or hertz. So you can find out omega also. Okay. Find the instantaneous value of EMF when plane of the coil makes an angle of 0 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree with the magnetic lines. Magnetic field is given here 0.08 Weber per meter square. This is called Tesla. Here Weber means flux. Unit of flux is Weber, and the name of the scientist, and per meter square per area it is called Tesla. It is also as a unit. So whether it is written here Weber per meter square or Tesla, both are same thing. So find the instantaneous values of EMF. Instantaneous values here, E is equal to E naught sin omega t or sin theta here. If angle is given here 0 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, first of all part third. What is the value of here? Because it is flux here, so you can easily find out. Got this point? Here E is equal to E naught. E naught means sin omega t sin theta here. E naught means N A B omega sin omega t. Can you see this formula? Is it correct or wrong? Is it correct? Taking the first third part, when angle is given 90 degree, put the value angle 90 degree is maximum 1. but in answer it is 0. Answering is 0. Why? Because just go through the line, say fourth line. Find instantaneous values of induced EMF when, underline this, plane of the coil makes an angle. Just read this carefully. When plane of the coil makes an angle with the magnetic field, it means it is given theta. And what is alpha? Alpha means with the normal. So again in this formula, we have to take care which angle is given to you. It is the angle given between the plane of the coil and the magnetic field, which is not correct. You have to find out the angle between the normal to the plane of the coil and the magnetic field. So whenever it is given 0 degree, you take 90 degree. If it is given 60 degree, you take 30 degree. If it is given 90 degree, you take 0 degree. Got it? Got it now? So this way, angle, you have to take care the angle whether it is given from the normal or the with the normal or with the plane of the coil. Otherwise formula is same. And the omega everything is given here, but take care of the angle. Got this point? Hello? You have to take care in this question, otherwise all the three parts will become wrong. Answer will be different. समझ में आ गया आपको? Here you have to take care of this at the unit also. While you are calculating the area, and we are taking the angle, especially think about the angle. If an angle given with the plane and the magnetic field and between normal and the magnetic field, you have to take care of this only here. Okay. Suppose I am taking question, say this one, this is also a good question, say 20. Question 20. Just go through this. If the current in the primary circuit of pair of coils changes from 5 ampere to 1 ampere in 0.02, calculate the induced EMF. If the mutual inductance is 0.5 and the change of flux per turn in the secondary if dash number of turns 200 turns. It means here induced EMF, the formula here, the induced EMF given is equal to what? In self-inductance, formula is L di by dt. If it is case of mutual, replace this L with M. What is the difference here? L is the self-inductance of the coil or solenoid, and between the two coil or solenoid, M is the mutual inductance. M is the mutual inductance. So here the question is of mutual inductance, so we are taking the M. Simply you can say here M is given. How much given here? 0.5 Henry. This is the unit, 0.5. And what is dI by dt? It is the rate of change of current 5 ampere to 1 ampere. So we are doing not 5 minus 1, we are doing here 1 minus 5. Why? Final minus initial. And time taken here 0.02. This way you can calculate easily E. And the change of flux per turn. Per turn means here you divide by the number of turns here. So got this? Question number 20. See, this is the solution. E is equal to minus L d by dt. Just by calculating here, putting all the values, we are getting here 100 volts. This is the induced and developed here 100 volts. Answer part 1. Simple formula minus M di by dt. Di by dt is the rate of change of current here. M is the mutual inductance given in the question. So E is equal to minus and d phi by dt. This way you can calculate d phi also. Change in the flux linkage. that is 0.01. Negative sign shows the decrease here. If positive sign comes here, it is the increase here in the magnetic field. Simple. Hello, got this? Negative sign means decreasing flux. It seems here we are decreasing the current from 5 ampere to 1 ampere only. The flux linkage definitely it is decreasing. So that by going through the question, you can find out it is decreasing flux. Got this? I'm not getting any answer whether it's okay or not. Combination can be written as L dash suppose L2 L3 upon L2 plus L3. Just like formula of resistance in parallel. Similarly, these are also can be treated as resistance, although they are inductance. So these are formula of this inductive inductance L2 L3 upon L2 plus L3, and this in series. So finally we can say here the equivalent inductance is L1 plus this. If there is no mutual inductance, then it is very simple question. Put the value here L1, L2, L3, you get the answer. See, question number 25. This. The equivalent inductance between this L2 and L3 square loop. Inside it is a smaller square loop is there. Got it? L, capital L is very large in comparison to small l. So here these two loops are coplanar and their center coincides. You have to find out the mutual inductance of the system. This question comes here. It's in IIT 98. What to do here? Find out the magnetic field because of this bigger loop at the center, and for this you can find out, say we have solved this question. Suppose this is the current flowing in this loop. Here at the center, what is the magnetic field? Magnetic field, suppose is the current I. Magnetic field will be, net magnetic field will be due to 1. So 4 times V1, because it is inward. Direction is like this, inward. So net magnetic field you can find out 4 times the magnetic field due to 1, and due to 1 we can easily find out this angle is, because the square so 90 degrees, so this angle is 45. You can find out B. 4. B means what here? Mu naught I upon 4 pi A. A means this is the length, so this perpendicular distance is L by 2. Total length L, this half is L by 2. So this is the value of A. And here sin phi 1 plus sin phi 2, sin 45 plus sin 45. By using this formula, we can find out the magnetic field here. Magnetic field here. And mutual inductance is the magnetic field. If you find the magnetic field B to A, there is the flux linkage. Now flux upon this current, you can find out the magnetic field. Just see the solution.